Brother Biagio's worried letter to Pope Francis about the situation in the Church. Many afflictions animated the heart of this humble little man. Even when his strength was failing him, his concern was for the Church. A letter that Brother Biagio wrote to Pope Francis, in which he expressed all his concern for the Church. There was something wrong, precisely with the priests and the religious. Brother Biagio had expressed all his concerns on paper and had sent them to the Holy Father, thus expressing all his filial love for the Mother Church. The concerns expressed to the Pope. He identified himself as a little useless servant, but he did a lot in his life. And even more in recent months, when the disease was slowly taking possession of his body. Brother Biagio Conti flew to heaven on January 12, 2023. His life as a hermit, in poverty, paying attention to the least, to those rejected by society, in a certain sense allowed him to look, with a detached eye and far from any conditioning, at the current situation of the Church and, in particular, its priests, friars and religious. Deep concern was expressed by Brother Biagio, so much so that, last October, he had decided to write a letter to Pope Francis. Dearest and beloved Pope Francis, I am very worried because the Holy Church is going through a difficult moment and is undergoing a great humiliation because of pastors, men and women religious, who, called by the good Lord to evangelize and help the strayed and lost sheep, to whom unfortunately they are not giving a good example, are tempted and led astray by the sins and vices of yesterday and today. But the beloved good Jesus, who is the Good Shepherd, calls us and invites us to be a good example too, and to be the good salt of the earth. But if we lose the flavor by being overcome by temptations, we will be thrown and trampled, and so we will no longer be the good example but the bad example. It is very urgent to protect and take care of the Holy Church, helping and strengthening it above all in a stronger and healthier vocational formation of seminarians in seminaries and convents, so that strong and new pastors can be born, religious at the service of the Church and our neighbor, capable of giving themselves for the good of this suffering humanity. The invitation to caution. Furthermore, his concern also looks to each of us. The good Lord says, "Be good as doves, but careful as snakes. Be prudent above all because of the strong risk of profaners, who try to transform the house of God into stalls and currency exchanges, adapting to today's fashions and incorrect customs." The women enter the church all low-cut and half-naked and participate in holy masses, baptisms, communions, confirmations and weddings. Even the bride presents herself all in fashion, that is, all low-cut, thus transforming the house of God into a catwalk of fashion. The good Lord says we help, correct and rebuke those who are in error, and so their conversion will be possible through you. But if you don't tell the sinner, says the good Lord, that he is sinning, you will take on the sin of others. As they say, in the land of Sicily we don't play on mertosi, that is, we see and we don't speak and we don't intervene. Attention to today's priests. His gaze then rests on the priests and religious, inviting them not to abandon their habit. Dear pastors, men and women religious, be careful not to strip your precious priestly garments, taking off your crucifix and white collar, dressing in bourgeois, thus exposing you to many dangers, to raptors and vultures. Be cautious of negative addictions, cigarettes, alcohol, etc., to be a good example and not a bad example. Dearest priests, men and women religious, do not use the term, "Now I am going on holiday on the beaches of the islands," putting on your swimsuit in the midst of so much nudism of women and men without restraint. Don't spend any more money on holidays or entertainment, but donate and give yourselves to the poor and those in difficulty. The word holiday on the beaches does not suit the religious, but spiritual retreat, going there in the silence of the mountains, of nature as his friend and brother, Jesus often went. Dear priests, men and women religious, be fervent in faith, hope and charity, in obedience and respect to our Holy Father Pope Francis, whom the good Jesus has given us, and to our bishops, to build together a better world of peace and justice. He continues in his letter. Finally, a thought for Pope Francis and for the Archbishop of Palermo, Monsignor Lorfus. Dearest and beloved Pope Francis, courage, the good Lord keep you and always give you strength and health to protect the Holy Church and all citizens of this sick society. Thank you, Pope Francis, for your precious work towards the weakest and poorest. Dearest and beloved Archbishop Corrado, you too are a shepherd given to the sheep of this city of Palermo. Dearest Archbishop Corrado, courage, the good Lord has entrusted you with a very delicate mission of guarding the house of God, the cathedral, and all the churches and the seminary. Thank you for your work and support towards the most needy. He continues to pray for all of us. We too pray for you, he concludes. Until the end, Brother Biagio always had the church at heart, and he humbly prayed for her until the end of his days.